Okay, so thanks for joining us, guys. I'm not sure if we'll get too many more in today, but it'll be good to just go through on this small group to start off with, and then obviously if we've got questions later on, there'll be plenty of training material on the subject anyway. But we're just going to go through this 4-hour trend trader. So it's a strategy that obviously Jeff and I have been kind of toiling away on, and it's slowly come together. But what I wanted to do today was just to get out the first version of this strategy, because as we've been kind of going along, I can see that there's ways we can, or there's a few things we can do to add some great little inputs to the strategy. So rather than wait until we've got the absolute perfect product, sometimes it's always good to, and from the testing I've seen, it's actually good to put something out that's quite simple, straightforward, and is doing really well from the testing. So uh, let's jump in and go through the strategy itself. And what I want to do basically today is just introduce it. I want to talk about the indicators we're going to use for the strategy, the actual strategy EA itself. We're going to cover how to load the EA onto your MT4 platform. We're also going to talk about how to use the set file. So one of the key things with putting the strategy together, and what we're wanting to do, obviously as we move forward, is to take a lot of the time out of getting these strategies in a profitable position. So part of that is doing some optimization testing and just putting together some more robust settings. So that's what our plan has been and is, and I think we've pretty much achieved that with this first iteration of the strategy. So let's jump in and have a look. Now, if you have got questions, feel free to type them in the chat box, because I will either answer them as we're going along, or I'll come back and address those. But there's our standard disclaimer. Obviously, the information provided in here doesn't take into your personal financial situation, so you need to assess any information and determine whether that's suitable for you financially and suitable for your financial circumstances prior to taking any action. So that's our standard disclaimer that we provide at the start of any session. And remember too that trading inherently involves risk, and you need to be aware of that as well. Now, let's obviously, you know who I am, Shane Fry, the Director of Coaching and System Development. I've been trading for probably now close to 18, 19 years. So a lot of the trading over the last 9 or 10 years, though, has been focused on automation and system development, because I could see pretty early that you could be a great trader, but ultimately what you want to do is try to automate the process as much as possible, because you're not going to have enough time in the day, or there's not going to be enough opportunity for you to be across every single market or looking at every opportunity, and there's always times when you'll miss opportunities, and having that automation is a great way of kind of combating that. So one of the biggest trading myths also too that I wanted to talk about today was one of the issues is that one of the myths is that you only need one great system. Well, that's actually not quite right, because every system, it doesn't matter how good or how great the system is, will go through periods of drawdown. So really here at GMT, what we're trying to do is make sure that our members have the ability to use a multi-system strategy, and Jeff talks about this in his GMT FX live sessions all the time. He's got 3 main approaches. We want to kind of broaden that a little bit more as well, because you're a very capable, competent trader if you've got a great arsenal of systems. And what we want to do is provide that multi-system approach for our traders. So one of the things that we're going to be doing this year, and obviously January kicks it off, is to develop these, or to send out these either updated systems or systems we've been working on, to make sure that you've got a good bank of systems to allow you to provide a multi-system approach. So let's keep going here. So it's all, as I said, it's all about providing you with a multi-system approach to your trading, and really that comes back to managing a portfolio, doesn't it? A portfolio, whether it's a portfolio of stocks or systems, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as far as trading, but you have to have, ideally have that diversified approach when you're trading. So some of the systems we'll be releasing this month will include the multi-time frame trader. That's a strategy we've been working on, or I've been working on. The campaign trader, which is again a strategy that uses multiple entry points. So it looks to determine the initial consolidation in the market, then it looks to look for the breakout, and then once that breakout's occurred, then the established trend. So there's multiple system entries on that strategy. So I think you're going to enjoy looking at learning that system, and also possibly including that in your portfolio. We've got the pin bar reversal, which will add to our suite of price action systems. We've got just weekly candle close, which we're going to do an update on, and the golden candle as well. So just some timeless classics there. So we're going to make sure that they get out to everybody this month. So one of the things, obviously at the moment we're using the current GMTFX live systems are the weekly candle trend lines, the weekly candle close direction, and the weekly candle close reversal. Now they're the systems we're kind of focusing on at the moment. I'm pretty sure they're the systems that we're focusing in on with GMTFX Live. And what that allows us to do then is to sit up and say, right, well, if we're trading the GMTFX Live systems, we're able to, particularly if we're time poor, we're able to take, concentrate on 3 or 4 currency pairs for the week, the strongest ones, and trade with our best entries on those. So what that has enabled us to do is to really simplify the forex trading and allow us to get some really quality entries and quality reward to risk. So that's what we're really focused on, aren't we? That quality reward to risk, because you're going to find, you may have found, depending on how long you've been trading for, that if you are trading intraday or even sometimes swing trading, if you haven't got that good reward to risk 3 to 1 or better, then it's a very nasty market, the forex market, particularly if you're in and out a lot of the time during the day and doing that intraday trading. You can really chew up a lot of capital doing that by not having a good risk to reward. So I think the GMTFX systems, or I know the FX Live systems at the moment, the way Jeff is running those, is doing a great job of that. So what we're really looking to do is kind of add something to that as well. So today's system is all about the 4-hour strategy. So 4 hours, if you think about that on your chart, it's going to be a slower moving system. So you're not going to be getting 3 or 4 setups a day. This is a system that's going to give you a couple of trades a week, and you'll see from the results that it does that. So that doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to be in the market a lot. If you want to be an active trader, all you need to really do there is just add additional pairs. So our focus at GMT will be to make sure that we've got our best settings, so our best set files, they're called, obviously, and then we'll be sharing those with the members. So with this system, it's very simple. We're only using 2 indicators on the charts. We don't want to overcomplicate things. We want to keep it nice and simple, and that really holds true for the strategy itself as well, because it's a 4-hour system. It's a swing trading system. So we're using the VR Donchen, which is basically a free strategy or a free indicator on Marketplace on MT4. I'll take you to the chart shortly and show you how to load that up. We have the trend color, which is from Jeff, and I can provide that for you at the end of the session. And then the current version, EA version, and this is important, is the Trend Trader 4-hour Feb V1. So what will happen is I will be sending regular updates out if there is a change to the strategy. So I'll send you an email because one of the things we want to do is make sure that as we're testing, we might find things that we can do to improve the system, or things we might want to take out of the strategy. So as we go along, one of the important things is to make sure that you've got the right version. So the version that you're looking at the moment is version 1, and I'll give you an update on that, and you'll be able to log into the members site or the training area and see what the current version is. So you'll never be unsure about whether you're trading the right version or not. And that's what we're going to make sure that we've got. Everyone's got the right version of the system. So let's take a look at the charts now. So as I mentioned before, today's session isn't going to be a long, hour, 45-minute session on the system. It's really going to be about setting the system up, making sure your charts are set up properly, making sure the EA is on your platform, and then making sure you're able to access the set files. That way you've got the best settings so far. And then later today, and later tonight and tomorrow, you'll get an invitation to the training program, and then you'll be able to go through and then really specifically look at the training that we've provided. So that'll allow you to kind of get right in there and look at all the inputs and the settings and work your way around those. So as I mentioned before, there are two main indicators. There is the VR Donchian indicator. I'll send you a link for that. But basically that is in Marketplace. Even if you go into Marketplace and go into the search option and just put VR in there, in indicators, it'll come up with that actual indicator. So that's a free version. There's plenty of training on it as well. One thing I would suggest, once you load that onto your chart, and I've already loaded on to my second chart here. So the first chart you're seeing here is the standard MT4 setup. So what we want is we want to make sure that the MT4 setup is set up the way we're kind of going to want to be trading this strategy. So it'd want to be on a 4-hour chart, and as I said before, you're just going into the Marketplace, the bottom tab of your MT4 platform. You're typing in VR under the indicator, and you'll come up with VR Donchian. I'll send you a link as well, so if you're not sure where to go, just automatically have your MT4 platform open, then go click on the link, and the actual, when you go into this this link here, it'll give you the option to download the free version. So you just click on that, and it'll automatically put that into your Marketplace on your indicators. So you'll see under indicators, you've got Marketplace. It'll just drop in there as VR Donchian. So what we want to do now, once we've got that on there, we're part of the way to setting up the system, the indicators. So I personally think it's good to have the indicators on the screen, because as you're doing your testing, you'll be able to identify whether a trade's setting up properly or not, and that's good for feedback to us. If there's any issues you find in the strategy, you can report that back to us, and we can have that resolved. So one of the things I like to do with the charts, and it's a personal preference thing, is I like to set them up to candles, and I like to make that chart a little bit bigger, and then we're going to add in the VR Donchian. So we'll do that now. So again, under market, we're going to drag it across. There it is there. And it'll give us that dialog box that comes up. We'll allow DLL imports. Go OK. Now, one thing that we typically do here is we set that just primary settings on this are 20. Is that right, Jeff? I've got Jeff in the room, which is handy. So pretty sure our typical settings are 20, so we'll go OK there. Alright, so what that does is that accelerates the speed at which these upper and lower bands are moving. So we're going to get a look back period of 20 instead of 24, which means that these are a little bit more responsive. Now the other thing that we want to add to this chart to complete our indicator set is the trend color. So if we come down here, I'll send you the link for the trend color, and allow DLL imports again as well, and that basically gives us our settings for the system. So 2 indicators, nice and simple. We haven't got too much happening on the charts, which is great. Now once you've got that, what I will do then is you'll also get a file that I'm going to be sending out, which will be, and I'll just grab a copy of that, which will be your EA. So your indicators are set up, your chart is good to go, but you don't have a strategy on there yet. So that's the expert advisor. So if I go, I'll just go in here, and here's our 4-hour strategy. What I'm sending you is I'm actually going to send you the EA, and the EA will look like that. So Feb version 1, that's what you'll be getting today. So that will come out, and all you're doing when you get that file is you're copying that file, and you're going into, for those who haven't done this before, File, Open Data Folder. You're going to go into MQL4 Experts, and you're just going to paste it into that folder. That's it. Now, typically what happens is you usually need to log out and log back into MD4 before it'll appear on your EA options. So down here on the EA options, you'll see it'll appear under Trend Trader 4-hour. So that's what we're looking for. Obviously, it'll be Feb V1, so I need to update mine. So that will be. So now that you've got the system. So we'll go to the chart that's got it loaded up. So we'll add it to the chart, the EA to the chart. And anytime you drag the EA over or attach it to the chart, it'll come up with some options. So you want to go allow live trading and allow DLL imports. Now, depending on whether you've got a live or a demo account, if you've got a live account, I would definitely suggest demo trading this initially. Just to get a feel for it, you can run it on all of the pairs, the 7 pairs we've tested so far. Obviously, we're going to be doing a lot more testing and a lot more pairs. So there's so many iterations of this strategy that we can come up with. It's quite exciting. So, and the beauty of it is, it's not going to, if you've obviously with the Forex market, you're able to reduce your lot sizes, your risk down, and test across multiple markets, and it gives you the ability to be picking systems and picking a nice balanced portfolio. So one of the things that you'll want to do is, once the EA is on, you'll see that it's Trend Trader 4-hour Feb V1 it should be, so that's my old one. If you want to auto trade that, you click on auto trading, and that'll turn that frown to a smile, and then you're away. So basically, this is set up good to go. So if I'm looking at the chart now, I should have the color, the trend color on the chart. You'll see there that we've got the trend color displaying. We've got the VR Donchian, which is the 2 outer bands and then that midline. And then we have the EA in the top right hand corner. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be on to test, but it's on at the moment. Now, the other thing you're going to be getting as part of this this mail out is a series of set files. So now, what set files are, I know you're probably all pretty aware of what a set file is because you've been at it for a while. But for those people who are watching the video who haven't, the set file is an opportunity for us to give you the best settings for each of these markets. So what we've tested so far, so I'll be giving you a link to where these set files will be stored, and we'll be updating these on a weekly basis. So what we're wanting to do is we want to capture the top 10 systems each week for this strategy. And we'll be doing this for every one of our systems. So think about it as maintaining a high performance strategy. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier was about the multi-system approach. And the multi-system approach requires you to do a little bit of work to initially set the strategy up so it's working. But then you've got to watch that system and maintain it. So one of the things you'll notice in one of the new versions is that we'll be tracking time of the day results and days of the week. So some of these systems will be impacted by day of the week trading. There might be a certain day of the week that's not a great day for say the CAD yen, and we might remove that from our strategy. So this is important to keep an eye on what's working well and what's working. What's not working, because that way your system can maintain some longevity in its performance. So there's some of the things that we're going to be looking at with our system testing and our system monitoring. So it's very, very important when you're trading like an automated system that you have that system maintenance. So hopefully for you guys, you'll be able to see as we go along that we're doing a fair bit of that that maintenance to help you out, and we'd encourage traders to be looking at as well. We'll give you the tools to be able to do that. But let's have a look at the Euro USD. So you're going to have access to a set file folder, and what we will do is to load those set files up. All you're doing is you're basically going into your EA. So let's do that. Let's go into the settings. So we'll go File. Let's bring settings up, and we go to the Expert Advisor. And all we're doing is we're going to load some new settings up. So we're going to grab. We've already got the Euro USD loaded up. All we need to do now is go to the right for our strategy. We need to go to the set files, and we want to grab the Euro USD, and that will load up. Once we double click on that, that'll automatically bring those settings that we've tested, and we'll go OK, and those settings are in. Now this is interesting because what we have at the moment is we have a very, very basic, let me just grab this setting. What we have at the moment is some very basic settings here for the trend trader entry. So if you think about all the ways we can get into this market, into taking trades on this trend trader, we could potentially go in when the midline goes from red to blue. We could go in when the midline goes from red to blue, and we get a green bullish candle, or we get a green bullish candle that touches the upper Donchian line. So there's so many different ways we can enter this market, and what all I've given you so far is just one aspect of that, and that is the very basic setting of we go in on the market when we get a trend color change. So when the trend color changes, so if we go back to our charts here, if we go from red to green, then we're long on this strategy. If we go from green to red, we're short on this strategy. So all we're doing here from this initial setting is looking at taking a trend color change. We've got our Donchian period set up at 20. We have, now don't be too concerned about the number of inputs here, because we will have a video on each one of the inputs. They'll only be a couple of minutes long, so there won't be too much in it because they're fairly basic. But for a very basic start, we've added the Donchian period into 20, which is what Jeff recommended as far as his testing. We have the period at 34, and the only other thing we've added here was we wanted to make sure that the trend color was changing from red to green. We also wanted to make sure that our Donchian trend colors were changing as well, so matched up green with a blue setting and red with a red setting. And that's all we've got. And what we have too is we have a really good reward to risk on this strategy. So we're going for a profit of 750 and our stop loss is 260. So making sure we get that, 2 to 1, 3 to 1 or better. So that's all we're doing, and we're able to get good results because all we're focusing in is that good risk to reward. So if we just with these very basic settings, if we have a look at how the system performed, and this is just on the Euro Yen, but I'm going to do a few of these. If we look at the report that we've got, you can see that the equity line looks really good. This is over 12 months. This is one of the strategies. You've got $1,268 worth of profit on a micro account or a mini account. You have a profit factor of 1.9, so it's almost 2 to 1, which is what we're looking for. We have 89 trades. So if this is one of the pairs you're trading, you're not getting a lot of trades, are you, for the year? But do you need a lot of trades? No, because if you're running this on multiple pairs, then it allows you to trade smaller lot sizes, spread your risk, and make sure that what you're doing is you're smoothing out your possible drawdown. So you're wanting to kind of, rather than just trade one strategy, and this is why the multi-system approach is so critical, rather than have a really bad week on, say, for example, one strategy, because you're because you only got one system to trade. You're trading multiple pairs over using one strategy, but over multiple markets. So it really does allow you to diversify. And you see there that our max drawdown there was $200. So a really good performance. Even the your short positions winner was 44, long positions 45. Is that good for a trend trader? Do you think that, as far as percentage win rate, how are you guys feeling about that win rate? It is pretty good, isn't it? Like your trending system typically aren't going to have a huge win rate. They're going to sit around the 40 to 50%. Because remember that, a lot of the time you're going to be in markets that, markets are only trending about 20% of the time. So that's the other reason why we're looking to have that multi-system approach. So that's the euro. Let's have a look at another one. So that was the settings there. We had a net really good result as far as that one. So if we go back to the settings, which you'll be able to do when you get your set files, and we load this up, and we'll go to the desktop, and we'll get to GMTFX 4-hour strategy and the set files, and we'll grab in the CAD-GEN. We'll go OK. And actually what we'll do, because then I'll have to change it around the report, what I'll do is I'll just quickly give you a look at the actual reports themselves. So we don't have to run and waste time doing that. So if we go back to the 4-hour strategy, back to the performance reports, and we'll go CAD-GEN. So there's our, let me just bring that over. That is our CAD-GEN strategy. So I'm going to share that. New share. Just let me know if you can see that. So that's our CAD-GEN. We've got our performance again. Let's have a look at our performance. We had $1,194 profit, net profit. We've got a profit factor of 2.17, so slightly higher than the previous one. Our absolute drawdown was 119, so a better system. Only 68 trades. Our win rate was 35 and 33, so a smaller win rate, better profit on the trades, and overall a good result. So, guys, rather than, I'm going to probably leave it at the half hour, but basically, and I'll just go back to the charts for a second. Basically, I'll send you all the performance reports. I'll send you the set files. Once you get into the strategy, you can play with the stop losses. Now, I haven't talked much about the entries or stop losses, but they are in there. You can either enter on a color change. You can enter on a close of a close above the Donchian line, a touch of the Donchian line. Then your stop loss could be a trailing stop at the midline. You can trail the opposite Donchian. So you have a number of different ways you can run this system. As I said before, I've just had a fixed stop and fixed target. That was it. So there's so many different ways we can test on this, and that's what we're going to be doing this week. So kind of the goal today was to get this out to you, give you some good results to look at and to monitor, and then we'll start sending out some of the variations of this strategy, like the trailing stops and the potential targets, the fixed target, the trailing stop that adds in that potential trailing target as well. One of the things we will be doing is we'll be adding a couple of volatility-based stops to this system, so ATR stops and trailing stops. That way, when we get a significant move like we did on gold the other night, where gold shot down and broke down after that massive spike up, we can really kind of take everything out of the trade as far as that increased volatility. So that's one of the things we'll be adding to it as well. So does anybody have any questions? I didn't want to kind of take up too much of your time because I know obviously you guys are fairly experienced with the EAs or with the system. So I wanted to kind of provide some module training for you to go through at your own leisure, and just pick out what you want to focus in on, so we're not wasting any time on stuff that you already know. And really, kind of today was all about making sure that you've got probably 6 or 7 good markets to track, and then obviously we'll add to that as well, because there's so many variations to this. Any questions so far? Excellent. So there are a lot of new things happening, and one thing that we're going to be doing is adding a lot of this information into our new website. So I will run a session probably mid next week about the new the website and all the systems going on that as well. So it's kind of a little bit more of a community-based site. So you'll be able to get on there, and the great thing is that once you're on the site, you'll be able to chat with the fellow traders, and you'll be able to share ideas and set files, and it'll make it so it's a little bit more interactive, and we're actually getting a little bit more of a community approach to putting together these great multi-system strategies. Now, one other thing I wanted to add in, one of the things that Jeff was putting in here, we did originally have in here, but we took out, but we're going to put back in because we couldn't get it firing at the right, we couldn't get it sending proper signals to the EA, but as that is the trend strength indicator. So when you open the EA up, you will see that it's not in there at the moment, but it will go back in. We just have to do some modification to that and send it back. So that will run in real time off that trend strength. So basically, what you're currently looking at on your daily sheet, which is your Excel sheet. So this here, let me share this quickly with you. So I'll do a new share, and we'll share the spreadsheet. So Jeff's twin plots. So let's go to the twin plots for a second. Now let's say, for example, that you're tracking the twin plots and you get a spike up on the yen and a spike down on the euro US dollar. That if you've got your EA set to currency to take the currencies based on a discrepancy, or based on a what's the word I'm looking for? Based on divergence in the twin plots, then you'll only get trades taken off that setting. So that's going to automatically go into the EA. So that's one thing we had a little bit of trouble formatting. So you can set that up to, now I know Jeff is wanting to, I know when I spoke to Jeff, we're looking more at the weekly, but you'll be able to do it on a week. You'll be able to do it on the time frame that you want to pick. So I'll give you an example of what I mean here. This is really cool. I really like this, and I think you guys are going to like it as well. So basically, what's going to happen is that this is the data here. Now, I'm just going to share this. This is the document data, so it doesn't look as flashy as it will. But if you have a look at this spreadsheet, this document, what will happen is that you'll get a scanner that you'll have as an indicator, and then that will determine whether you've got a very strong, like dark green will be very strong, dark red will be very weak. So you're looking for divergence between the two. Now that can occur if I'm running the Euro USD. Say I'm running the Euro USD on a 4-hour chart. The Euro is -6 and the USD is -10. So I'm not going to be able to take that trade potentially. However, if I was running the Aussie USD and I'm looking to sell or buy the Aussie USD, and I've got it set up on a 4-hour chart, I've got my currency strength on, then it will take that trade based on a breakout of the long, because I'm looking to buy the Aussie against the USD. Does that make sense? And that scanner will then feed into our EA. So you can you'll be able to actually, now what I've done is the testing so far on the trend trader is working really well on the 4 hour without any of this additional stuff, but with the addition of this the currency radar, this will probably improve the results dramatically across all time frames. So I'm expecting to see some really good results across all timeframes on this. So I'm wanting to get this radar finished this week, this coming week, and then out to you. So you'll have the actual radar, this showing up on your charts and on the website. And then the next step will be linking this to your EA, which should be a lot easier. Yeah, the EA will buy and sell without you doing anything. So you'll basically, once you get that divergence in the currency pairs based on the time frame, and you'll be able to test it as well, because all of that data will be held and tested. So you'll be able to go back, and so you'll be able to say, right, well, I'm only really trading the 4 hour strategy, and I'm going to trade it based on a divergence in the strength radar, and yeah, basically it'll only take those trades based on the time frame you select. So it's going to be fantastic. So the exciting thing will be though, what are we going to do there? But the thing is, you're not every trade is going to be a winning trade. So it'll be important for us to develop up the other strategies and have those running in automation as well, so we can manage that multi-system portfolio. Because the more, whether it's your own personal account or you're trading for a PAM account or you're trading for potentially a fund, you need to have a multi-system approach, because that's going to give you the best rate of return as far as risk in the market. Yeah, so it's exciting. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for your time. I've got heaps of stuff to do, and obviously I want to make sure that everybody's getting all their goodies for this weekend, and you can do some testing. Feel free to share that with us, and we'll keep you updated as to what we're sending out. We're going to try to send something out every week, as far as, well, we'll be sending reports out every week, but also sending out new updates and things like that. So we've got a lot of scanners and strategies that we're kind of automating, so we'll get all that out to you as well. So thank you for your time, and looking forward to chatting next week. Cheers.